Here we go with 12. So again, remember, he's defending Caelius, but in the defense of Caelius, what we're doing is we are smacking Catiline down. And this is easy to do because Catiline was Rome's worst enemy after Hannibal. So we look at this and he's like, after so many years in the Forum, and again, look at the framing here. We have Catiline on one side and Caelius on the other, and the Forum in the middle, and all these years in between. So Catiline had been in the Forum for a number of years. Caelius had been in the Forum, and Caelius eventually does studeret, which doesn't mean study. Remember, it gives favor to, gives his favor to Catiline, and must have supported him in his quest for the consulship. And as Cicero likes to point out, many did the same thing. Okay, multi, ex omni ordine, ex omni aetate. All of the from every rank and file and every age. So young and old, rich and poor together loved this guy Catiline. He must have been quite the smooth talker. Okay. And he points out, he's like, indeed, arbiter, I think you all remember, right? That he had, and by he, what we're talking about is Catiline, okay, he had very many signs, like this very many signs of the greatest virtue, not expressa, not finished, but unfinished. Okay. Anumbratia. Like they're still like he was showing signs of becoming a good human. He just wasn't quite there yet. Like he was youthful, but on the right track. Okay. Um, however, he unbeknownst to them at the time, because obviously at the time they thought he was a great guy because everybody was friends with him. He was, however, having friends of improbus, of many wicked men, but at the same time he was pretending to be the best man, to pretending to have the greatest virtues. Okay, there were remember this one? Enticements of debauchery or of passion, very many enticements of passion with him at Apud Ilum, at his house, or at in his friend group. That Apud can mean in the house of, near. It's generally rather a close connection, Apud. So you would say within his circle of friends or within his household, you had the greatest types of debauchery. Okay. But at the same time, he had the greatest um pretend, I'm gonna say pretend uh forebodings of industrial work, of, and to say not industrial but industry, of what's another word for industry, strong, hardworking. Okay, so while he on one hand had evil men, on the other hand he had the greatest virtue. On one hand he had the greatest incitements of debauchery, on the other hand he had the goadings of great labor. um the vices, here, the shortcomings of debauchery were burning Apud Ilium and his in his life, in his circle of friends. Um, but also at the same time, the studia, the study of military things was, um, oh my gosh, thriving, was thriving. Never, and notice how this, in this way, Cicero is like, never would I ever have thought that such a monster would have been on this earth. Right? It's unthinkable to me that this monster existed. Okay, who had such conflicting desires. Okay, and it seemed like the desires were pugnantibus, like they were inter se, they were fighting inside him. Okay, was he good? Was he bad? Was he lazy? Was he hardworking? Was he debauched, or was he industrious? It was both. And because he had both sides, he won quite a lot of people over. So this particular section too is very interesting because you do have the sort of anaphora effect of the apud ilium, the apud ilium. Isn't there another apud? There's an inter se, which would mean among him, sort of a pulling down of that apud ilium. I feel like there's one more and I'm just missing it. I'll think of it, of course, when I turn the video off. The contrast, the flagor blanc, which means to be burning, and the vigiabant, which means to be thriving. And you just have this, like, this push and pull, of Cicero's speech going back and forth in the section. he was both this and this. He was both this and this. And so because we have that pattern and that back and forth, it gets the audience to remember everything that Catiline had done, both good and bad, and why Catiline had been such a remarkable enemy for the Roman people. Now, remember, the Catalinian conspiracy had been over for about 10 years at this point, but every single one of the old men in the crowd of jurors would have been present for the trial of Catiline, and all of them would have remembered it. Okay. Ask your parents. Okay, so for your grandparents, it would have been the assassination of JFK. I can still talk to my parents and ask where they were when they heard about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. For your parents, maybe it's 9/11. Where were they when they heard the news of 9/11? These are the sort of pivotal moments in our country's history that will live in our memory forever. Same thing with the Catalonian conspiracy. For anyone who had lived through it, they would have remembered it, and it would have set off a series of emotions, everything that led up to it and everything that followed. And Cicero is pulling from that in this. Okay. He's like, remember, we were friends with this guy too, and think about why we were friends with him. Okay. And remember, again, wrapping that all up to the defense of Caelius. Okay. If we fell for Catiline's BS, why can't Caelius fall for Catiline's BS? All right. So that's 12. Let's go on to 13. Stop this.